Jasper Montgomery adjusted his designer tie as he surveyed the great hall of Oak Ridge Manor at 42. The widowed tech mogul had everything money could buy, except what his 8-year-old daughter Rosie needed most: a mother's love. Everything. "Is prepared, Mr. Montgomery," said Delia Ramirez, glancing up from her clipboard. At 35, the head housekeeper managed the estate with quiet efficiency, her simple black uniform contrasting with the opulent surroundings. "Thank you, Delia and Rosie." In the garden, "She's nervous about meeting everyone." Delia's warm brown eyes reflected concern. "Perhaps this weekend might be overwhelming for her," Jasper sighed. "It's been 2 years since Patricia died. Rosie needs a mother figure, and I—" He hesitated. "Well, my daughter deserves a complete family." Outside, expensive cars began arriving. Disgorging glamorous women selected by Jasper's executive assistant as potential wife candidates. "Jasper, darling," trilled Victoria Chambers, a blonde socialite whose family owned half of downtown. "This retreat is such a novel idea." Behind her came Olivia Nakamura, a celebrated architect, Gemma Blackwell, a publishing heiress, and Bianca Rodriguez, former model turned philanthropist. Delia slipped away to find Rosie hiding behind the fountain, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "There are so many fancy ladies," Rosie whispered. "Daddy says I have to be nice to them." Delia knelt beside her. "Just be yourself, Paquega. It's more than enough. Will you stay with me? I have work to do, but I'll never be far." Delia straightened Rosie's headband. "And tonight, I'll play our special song on the piano if you like." Rosie's face brightened. "The one Mommy used to sing?" Delia nodded, her heart aching for this child who remembered so little of Patricia. During dinner, Jasper observed the interactions. Victoria spoke about her charity galas. Livia described her latest architectural triumph. Gemma discussed literary classics. And Bianca shared stories from her humanitarian trips. "And what about you, Rosie?" Rochi Victoria asked with practiced charm. "What do you enjoy?" Rosie stared at her plate. "I like when Delia teaches me piano and tells me stories about the stars." An awkward silence followed. "Delia?" Gemma raised an eyebrow. "Your housekeeper teaches music?" Delia studied at the conservatory before, Jasper began, realizing he knew little about his employee's background. Before life happened, Delia interjected softly, serving dessert. "Rosie has natural talent."
Later.
When the guests retired to their rooms, Jasper found Rosie in the kitchen, perched on a stool, watching Delia prepare hot chocolate. "With cinnamon, just how you like it," Delia said, sliding the mug toward Rosie. "Delia makes it exactly like Mommy did," Rosie told her father. "She remembers everything." Jasper observed them together as daughters ease with this woman who moved through their lives like a gentle shadow. For the first time, he truly saw Delia, her graceful movements, the kindness in her eyes. How she anticipated Rosie's needs without being asked. Something stirred in his chest, feeling he'd forgotten existed. "Would you join us, Mr. Montgomery?" Delia offered another mug. "Jasper," he corrected, accepting the chocolate. "Please call me Jasper." Morning light streamed through the conservatory windows as Bianca practiced yoga poses. Victoria planned the day's networking opportunities. Olivia sketched the manor's architecture. And Gemma thumbed through a rare first edition from Jasper's library. Meanwhile, Delia and Rosie shared a quiet moment in the kitchen garden, harvesting herbs. "My mommy planted these lavender bushes," Rosie explained, carefully cutting stems as Delia had taught her. "She had wonderful taste," Delia replied. "I remember how she planned this entire garden." Rosie looked up. "You knew my mommy well." Delia nodded. "I started working here a year before you were born. Your mother and I would talk while I helped her with household tasks." "What did you talk about?" "Mostly you. How excited she was to meet you. The dreams she had for you." Delia gathered Rosie's cuttings into a small bundle. "She loved you more than anything in this world." Tears welled in Rosie's eyes. I don't remember her voice anymore. Delia gently wiped a tear from Rosie's cheek. "She sounded like sunshine. And laughter. And sometimes when you giggle, I hear her in you." Unknown to them, Jasper stood at the garden entrance, transfixed. These were stories of Patricia he'd never heard, intimate details preserved by someone he'd barely noticed. Later, that afternoon, the guests organized a pool party, vying for Jasper's attention in designer swimwear. "Rosie, darling, come swim with us," Victoria called, flashing perfect teeth. Rosie hesitated at the pool's edge. "I don't like deep water." "Nonsense." "Everyone loves swimming," Victoria insisted, missing Rosie's discomfort. "Actually," Olivia interjected, "Rosie might prefer the shallow end with me. I'm not much of a swimmer either." But Rosie had already retreated to where Delia folded towels. "They don't know I'm scared," Rosie whispered. "That's because they're trying to impress your father, not understand you," Delia replied softly. "You like to help me prepare the lemonade instead?" Jasper, observing from his lounge chair, noticed how Delia never forced Rosie into uncomfortable situations. A memory surfaced. Patricia had been the same way, patient and attentive. That evening, Jasper found himself outside the music room, listening as Delia taught Rosie a simple melody. "My fingers are too small," Rosie complained. "So were mine when I started," Delia encouraged. "But music isn't about finger size, it's about heart. Try again, this time thinking about something that makes you happy." Jasper peered through the doorway as Rosie closed her eyes in concentration. When she played again, the difference was subtle but unmistakable. "That was beautiful," Jasper said, entering the room. Rosie beamed. "Delia says music is like magic hits inside us already." She's right. Jasper sat beside them on the piano bench, their shoulders touching briefly. "Would you play something, Delia?" Surprised, Delia hesitated before placing her fingers on the keys. She began a hauntingly beautiful piece that filled the room with emotion. Jasper watched her transformed face, eyes closed, completely present. In the music hand, felt something long dormant awakening within him. Asterisk, the grand dining room sparkled with crystal and silver for the weekend's culminating dinner. Jasper had arranged for a Michelin-starred chef, hoping to impress his guests before making his announcement. Rumors had circulated throughout the day. Victoria confidently told her assistant by phone that Jasper had practically proposed already. Gemma and Olivia suspected they were still in contention, while Bianca, sensing the competition's futility, had made peace with networking instead. "A toast," Jasper stood, raising his glass, "to new beginnings and the possibility of expanding our family circle." The women exchanged meaningful glances. "Rosie," Jasper continued, "I've invited these wonderful ladies here because I thought perhaps one of them might become special to us. Would you like to share your thoughts?" The room fell silent. Rosie looked around at the expectant faces, then down at her lap. "It's all right, sweetheart," Jasper encouraged. "Just tell us who you've enjoyed spending time with this weekend." Rosie slid from her chair and walked toward the service entrance where Delia supervised the dinner service. Taking Delia's hand, she looked up at her father. "I choose Delia," she said clearly. "I want her to be my mom." Gasps erupted around the table. Victoria's wineglass froze midway to her lips. Olivia's eyes widened in surprise. Gemma seemed amused, while Bianca nodded thoughtfully. "Rosie, honey," Jasper began carefully, "Delia works for us. She's our housekeeper, reads me stories, and knows when I'm sad without me saying anything," Rosie insisted. "She makes the bad dreams go away and teaches me piano and remembers everything about Mommy." Delia stood mortified, her face flushed. "Rosie, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Your father was looking for someone different." "Why?" Rosie challenged with a child's directness. "You love me better than they do." Jasper stared at his daughter, then at Delia, seeing them both as if for the first time. How had he missed it? Every morning, Delia prepared Rosie's favorite breakfast without being asked. During thunderstorms, it was Delia who calmed Rosie's fears. When Rosie brought home art projects, Delia displayed them prominently and remembered the stories behind each creation. "I'm so sorry," Delia whispered, gently extracting her hand from Rosie's. "Please excuse us." She led Rosie from the room, leaving stunned silence behind. "Well," Victoria finally said, "that was certainly unexpected." "Was it?" Bianca countered softly. "Children see what adults often miss." Jasper excused himself and found Delia in the kitchen, helping Rosie with a cup of tea. I've embarrassed you, Delia? Said immediately. I never encouraged this, I promise. I'll tender my resignation. No, Jasper interrupted. Please don't. Their eyes met over Rosie's head. Daddy, Rosie said. Delia thinks she's in trouble, but she's not, right? She's the only one who makes us feel like a real family. Jasper knelt beside his daughter. You're right, Rosie. I've been looking so hard for what we needed that I didn't see it was already here. He glanced up at Delia, whose expression reflected disbelief and something else, hope, perhaps. Would you join? Ask for dessert, he asked her. Not as staff, but as our guest? This is absolutely inappropriate, Humphrey Montgomery declared, pacing Jasper's home office. The family patriarch had arrived unannounced after hearing rumors about his son's relationship with the help. Father, my personal life isn't your concern, Jasper replied calmly. It becomes my concern when it affects Montgomery Industries. The board is already questioning your judgment. Clarissa Thornfield has been angling for your position since Patricia died, and now you're giving her ammunition. Outside the window, Jasper could see Delia and Rosie planting flowers. 2 months had passed since the weekend retreat, and their relationship had evolved gradually. Dinners together, Sunday outings, quiet evenings by the fire. Nothing improper, just the natural progression of feelings too genuine to ignore. Have you even investigated this woman? Humphrey demanded. She could be after your money. Delia has refused every gift I've offered, Jasper countered. She still insists on working, though I've told her it's unnecessary. Humphrey scoffed. Playing the long game, then. Smarter than I gave her credit for. Across town, Victoria Chambers sipped espresso with tabloid reporter Julian West. It's deliciously scandalous, she purred, Montgomery falling for his Maid like something from a soap opera. Any evidence of foul play? Julian inquired. Perhaps she manipulated the child? Victoria's eyes narrowed. Dig into her past. Everyone has secrets. At the manor, Delia folded laundry while contemplating her impossible situation. Loving Jasper and Rosie meant wanting what was best for the men. She was increasingly uncertain that included her. Her phone rang, an international number she recognized immediately. Hola, mama, she answered softly. Como esta, papa? The conversation was brief but devastating. Her father's condition had worsened. Expensive treatments weren't working. Jasper found her later in the garden, eyes red from crying. What's wrong? He asked, taking her hands. Delia withdrew them gently. Nothing I can't handle, Delia. Please. Whatever burdens you carry, I want to help bear them. Before she could respond, Jasper's assistant hurried toward them. Sir, there's an urgent situation. Someone leaked information about your relationship to the press. They're running a story suggesting Ms. Ramirez has a criminal record. That's absurd, Jasper exclaimed. Delia paled. Jasper, there's something. You should know their conversation was interrupted by Rosie running toward them clutching a newspaper. Why are they saying mean things about Delia? That evening, after Rosie was asleep, Delia and Jasper sat in the library. My father owned a small bookstore in Mexico City, she began. When he became ill, I was studying music at the conservatory. The medical bills. She paused. I became desperate and made a terrible mistake. Helped an ex-boyfriend cash fraudulent checks. I was caught, served 6 months, then was deported. Jasper listened without interruption. I came back legally. Years later, disclosed my record to the immigration authorities and rebuilt my life. She met his eyes directly. I've never hidden my past from employers. It's on my application. But now it will embarrass you and confuse Rosie. So you'll leave us? Jasper asked quietly. Is that your solution? It would be easier. Easier isn't always right. Jasper moved closer. My family, the board, the press, they don't dictate my heart. But if you want to go, I won't stop you. Delia stood at the crossroads of security and risk, of safe isolation and vulnerable love. I need time, she whispered. 3 weeks of separation had felt like eternity. Delia had taken leave to visit her family in Mexico, using the money Jasper insisted on giving her not as charity but as fair compensation for years of undervalued service. In her absence, Oak Ridge Manor felt hollow. Rosie, Ped, Jasper worked excessive hours, and even the staff moved through their duties with diminished energy. "She's not coming back, is she?" Rosie asked one night, clinging to the stuffed rabbit Delia had mended countless times. "I don't know." "No," Jasper admitted, stroking his daughter's hair. "Grown-up relationships are complicated." "But love shouldn't be complicated," Rosie insisted, with childlike wisdom. "Either feel it or you don't." Jasper pondered her words long after she fell asleep. Perhaps they had all overcomplicated what was fundamentally simple. Meanwhile, in Mexico City, Delia sat beside her father's hospital bed, holding his frail hand. "You look troubled, Hija," he observed. "I'm fine, Papa. Just focused on you getting better." He shook his head. "I raised you. I know when you're in love." Delia's eyes filled with tears. "It's impossible." "Why? Because he has money and you don't?" Her father chuckled weakly. "If life has taught me anything, it's that true wealth isn't in bank accounts." The next morning, Delia received two unexpected visitors, Humphrey Montgomery and Bianca Rodriguez. "We came to offer a proposition," Humphrey stated without preamble. "Mr. Montgomery wants to ensure his family's reputation remains intact," Bianca explained more diplomatically. "And I'm here because I believe in fairness." Humphrey placed a check on the table amount that would cover her father's medical expenses and provide financial security for years. "In exchange for your permanent departure from my son's life," he finished. Delia stared at the check, temptation warring with dignity. "Initially, I came as his ally," Bianca admitted. "But seeing you now, I understand why Rosie chose you. The question is, what will you choose?" After they left, Delia made the hardest phone call of her life. Back at Oak Ridge Manor, Jasper had made decisions of his own. The board meeting had been contentious, but ultimately, he'd prevailed. "Montgomery Industries will survive my personal choices," he informed his father afterward. "If it doesn't, perhaps it wasn't built on the right foundation." He was reviewing contracts when his assistant announced a visitor. Looking up, he saw Delia standing in the doorway. "You came back," he said simply. "To say goodbye properly," she replied. "Your father offered to pay for my dad's treatments if I left permanently." Jasper's expression hardened. "And you accepted?" "I declined," Delia corrected. "Some things aren't for sale. Dignity, integrity, love." "Love," Jasper repeated carefully. Delia nodded. "My whole life, I've been the person in the background, making others comfortable, anticipating needs without recognition. With you and Rosie, for the first time, I felt seen." Jasper crossed the room and took her hands. "Because you are exceptional, Delia Ramirez. Not for what you do, but for who you are." "Daddy? Delia?" Rosie burst into the room, flinging herself at Delia. "You came home?" "Home," Delia echoed, the word filling her heart. Later that evening, three of them sat at the piano, Delia teaching. "Jasper," the simple melody Rosie had mastered weeks ago. "I'm hopeless." Jasper laughed after another mistake. "You just need practice," Delia encouraged, "and patience." "And love," Rosie added matter-of-factly. "Delia says music needs love to sound." "Right." Jasper's fingers paused on the keys. "Is that the secret?" "Love makes everything sound right." Delia met his gaze, years of unspoken feelings passing between them. "It certainly helps." Side reporters still occasionally gathered at the gates. Society gossips speculated about the unusual romance, and Humphrey Montgomery continued his objections. But within the walls of Oak Ridge Manor, a family had formed not through wealth or status or convention, but through the quiet miracle of genuine connection. And in the end, that was worth more than all the expectations in the world. Artifact. I've crafted a complete 5-part story about a millionaire's daughter choosing the family's maid as her mother figure. Each part develops the characters and their relationships while exploring themes of authentic connection, social expectations, and what truly constitutes family. The story follows Jasper Montgomery, a widowed tech mogul, his daughter Rosie, and Miss Delia Ramirez, the compassionate housekeeper who has been quietly caring for them both. through various challenges and revelations. They discover that love transcends social boundaries, and that sometimes what we're searching for is already right in front of us.